Today we're recapping this week's biggest horror stories regarding new franchise continuations from James Wan and James Cameron, why a new Alien vs. Predator movie may be in the works, and an interesting nugget of Terrifier 3 news straight from the cast and crew. Now let's get into it. Hey everybody, I'm Killjoy Jake, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Before we get into today's updates, I'd like to first thank the wonderful patrons that support this page. I'm incredibly grateful for your support. Members also receive some killer perks like access to the weekly horror hot take series. This week, we had Terrifier 3's VFX artist Josh Petrino on to rip apart Congo from 1995. It's my favorite episode of the series thus far, so make sure to go check it out. Become a member today by clicking on the Patreon link in the description below, or by becoming a channel member by clicking on the join button on my page. Thank you to everyone again for your support. Now let's get into the updates. Although the last few Terminator movies showed how this franchise has gotten itself into a loop of diminishing returns, it's anything but dead. Later this month, an anime series based on the popular sci-fi horror franchise makes its way to Netflix titled Terminator Zero. It looks sick, and I might be checking it out once the spooky season is over. This is the busiest time of the year for old Jake. I love it. James Cameron, the director of the first two, and easily the best films in this franchise, has teased to the Hollywood Reporter that he's working on a new Terminator project. Regarding this upcoming anime and his own secret project, Cameron told THR, "It looks interesting. My relationship to that is very much like the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Other people spinning stories in a world I set in motion is interesting to me. What's their takeaway? What intrigued them about it? Where are you going with it? It looks like they're going back to the root because of Judgment Day, the nuclear war, and whether that's an ultimate timeline. I'd be curious to see what they've come up with. I'm working on my own Terminator stuff right now. It's got nothing to do with that. It's totally classified. I don't want to have to send out a potentially dangerous robotic agent if you were to talk about it even retroactively." Nice. This is a pretty surprising comment from Cameron considering he currently has 3 Avatar movies in the works. The last one we won't see until the 2030s apparently. Interestingly enough though, there is a 4-year break in between Avatar Fire and Ash releasing in 2025 and Avatar 4 in 2029. Could we see a new Terminator film in, say, 2027? Personally, I wouldn't mind that. Cameron has proven to be the only director who can make a good Terminator flick, possibly a hot take. Maybe another hot take incoming here, but my most watched Universal classic horror movie is Creature from the Black Lagoon. Oh god, I love this one, from its at the time groundbreaking underwater footage to its nasty creature design. It's one of the most iconic yet underrated horror films from that time period. It's why I've always had the poster on my set. Unlike his monstrous companions in the Dark Universe, Creature never got a remake. There are 2 sequels, and The Shape of Water is basically an unofficial remake, I guess, but we just don't have a modern feeling movie that captures the horror of the original classic. It's just been announced by Deadline this week that James Wan, the director behind Saw, Insidious, and Malignant, you know, a few good horror flicks there, is in talks to reimagine Creature for Atomic Monster and Universal Pictures. Deadline specifically wrote, James Wan is developing a grounded, modernized retelling that leans into visceral horror whilst paying respect to the original classic. This sounds just like the same approach that his frequent collaborator Leigh Whannell has taken with his 2020 Invisible Man movie, and the upcoming Wolfman flick slated for early next year. I look forward to that one. The Black Lagoon hasn't seen any action in a while, and to be helmed by one of the best modern masters of horror, I think this will be the best in the franchise. Many directors over the years have been approached to take a new spin on the series, but these projects fell through. Some of these directors include Breck Eisner, Peter Jackson, Ivan Reitman, and even John Carpenter, dude. Could you imagine a blue-collar creature movie shot on anamorphic lenses? Oh my god, my heart wouldn't be able to take it. After Wan's Aquaman horror spin-off movie, The Trench, fell through, it seems as if the legendary director is still looking to spill blood in the water. I'm so excited to learn more about this long-awaited project as a huge fan. One last note, anytime I get asked what movie would you remake if you had the chance, my answer has always been Creature from the Black Lagoon. Although I love the original film, I've always found the story to be a bit weak. Creature needs a reimagining so bad, and if Wan approaches this new movie in the same way that Leigh Whannell took on The Invisible Man, this could be a massive hit that surpasses its predecessors. Hollywood is finally starting to remake movies that actually could use a facelift. Like, nobody wants a Jaws remake, but a James Wan directed Creature from the Black Lagoon movie? That just makes sense. Now, if Brandon Cronenberg could remake Society, everything would be right in the world. Fingers crossed, baby. A new horror trailer took off this week that featured Hayden Panettiere from the Scream franchise in an all-new terrifying situation. Or is it? The film was directed by Carrie Bellessa, who made a film called Amber Alert all the way back in 2012, interestingly enough. The found footage flick rocks, and I've championed it for a while now as being one of the most underrated from the entire subgenre. Now Carrie is taking that idea that she admittedly executed first on a low budget to new heights. The trailer tells me this is going to be the exact same story, but told through a different lens. This definitely will not be a found footage movie, and from the set pieces you can tell this one had a much bigger budget too. The Secret remake releases in theaters and on digital on September 27th of this year, so just a month or so away. I'm really excited to see the updated version of this story, and I recommend watching the incredibly underrated cult original. Alien Romulus just hit theaters this weekend, and some of the early numbers are incredible. What is the best horror film of 2024 so far, in my humble opinion, pulled in $6.5 million just from Thursday previews alone. Fede is back, baby! There's a lot for sci-fi fans to be excited about right now, and we have even more news to discuss today. As many of you know, the Predator franchise is also going strong again at the moment, with 2022's streaming hit Prey, directed by Dan Trachtenberg. It's my personal favorite Predator sequel, although I'm of the opinion that nothing will ever surpass the sci-fi action bliss of that original.
Get to the chopper!
During a recent interview, Alien Romulus director Fede Alvarez was asked if he would be interested in doing another Alien vs. Predator film, to which he responded, maybe something that I have to co-direct with my buddy Dan. He's of course referring to Trachtenberg, who has 2 new Predator films on the way, a sequel to Prey and something called Badlands. All we know is that both of them will feature some badass female protagonists battling predators. With both franchises having recent hits, will these versus dreams come true soon? God, I hope so. AVP needs a redemption arc after the Too Dark to See sequel Requiem that feels like a major step down from its glorious original. There have been a few exciting new updates for Terrifier 3 this week. First off, the film will be premiering at Fantastic Fest in Austin, Texas, alongside VHS Beyond and Alexander Aja's Never Let Go in late September. Godspeed to the team of folks getting the movie done in time for its premiere. In other news, Terrifier 3 writer-director Damien Leone made some interesting announcements this week regarding the film, saying that the official runtime will clock in around the 2-hour mark. He confirms that it's another mega slasher that will likely have a slightly faster pace than Terrifier 2. The numbers don't lie, fellas. Terrifier 2 is almost 2.5 hours. This one's gonna be like probably 2 hours or maybe even a little less. That faster pace I think is going to serve it. He also confirms my suspicions on the third film that it will be a perfect balance of the first and second movie. This makes sense based on what we've already seen from the film with that latest teaser. It has that dirty looking color grading from the first movie, but seems to be character focused like the sequel. Sounds to me like the best of both worlds, while also creating something fresh here. The most interesting thing that came from the director this week, though, was his comment regarding an unrated cut of the film. As many of you know, Terrifier 3 will be an uncompromised version of Leone's vision. He does, however, want to appease fans by making this one not too overlong. Regarding an eventual director's cut, Leone says the theatrical version will be my unrated director's cut. That being said, there's a lot of material on the cutting room floor to create an extended version down the line. This has me thinking about the release strategy for Terrifier 3. I mean, a fool could tell you that Terrifier is taking over the horror scene right now. It's a character-driven slasher franchise that's brimming with over-the-top deaths. I love that it doesn't aim to offend, that's just a symptom of art's devious nature. It's exploitation mixed with sympathetic situations. And it has its bloody hand on the throat of the horror community, making me think they might do a dual release. Terrifier 3 releases on October 11th, of course, but might re-release in December, possibly with new footage we didn't see the first time around. That's asking a lot from the hardworking team cutting this one together right now, but I can't say I wouldn't love to see that. Besides, it's the perfect family Christmas movie, according to lead actress Lauren Lavera, who claims the characters skip off together at the end, holding hands, and live happily ever after. Damn, Lauren, spoilers! Whatever ends up happening, I'm sure we will see a re-release come this holiday season. It's the new Christmas horror movie that's poppin' right now. Why wouldn't they re-release it? You're just leaving money on the table at that point. Before we wrap up today's update video, I'd like to ask you all to please subscribe to my gaming channel, GullGotha. I'm currently playing a bunch of spooky horror games over there, and it's been a blast getting scared out of my pants. I cannot believe I'm an adult. Go subscribe and check out some of the videos now. What do you guys think about today's updates, and which one had you the most excited? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching. Please subscribe, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.